Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting, riveting, and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host from Pearl Dane, the one, the only master propaganda hero of Psych Defender of the Fatherland, here with my co-host Basil the Kitty Cat, right next to the microphone. Don't know if you can hear him purring or not. But we're off here to a 1v1 on Amilly Fields, probably my personal favourite of the 1v1 maps, and I also think it is by far the best 1v1 map currently in Companies 2. So, in the north it is Jimmy, fighting for the Oberkommando West Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 21st Panzer Division with Grand Defense, Overwatch and Elite Armored. In the south it is Paulie D fighting for the British Army, the Commonwealth, King George. Here with Lend Lease Assault, featuring mortar teams, assault sections, M10, Achilles, self-propelled anti-tank guns, and for half-tracks and strafing support. We got an assault section, Universal start here, quickly popping those gentlemen into there for a bit of mechanized infantry tactics. As always, a big hearty thanks to my paid supporters help keep the Propagandacast going. Other people in direct picture on Patreon earn Basil's undying gratitude, because he's such a good kitty. So rushing forwards here with the chaps inside the Universal Carrier. Sturmpeene by the western field point eastwards, got the force moving forwards here for Deutschland. Second force squad also heading eastwards here for Jimmy. Universal is rushing down on the Sturmpeene here. Assault section ready to jump out that close ranges and then let loose there. And there we go. Jimmy just realizes this is going to be a very bad engagement for him. Otherwise, he just retreats here. He very swiftly and deftly retreats. And of course, the chaps in the Magic can't fire out of it. All they can do is hold tight to the rifles and jag a bit about. Second assault section here for Paul. Unfortunately, if they're being drawn back, he knows if he ignores them, they're just going to hit carve points and dig in. So Jimmy there is moving in troops to try and deal with that Universal Carrier. Or perhaps he's concerned, he also needs to focus them, because otherwise the Universal can just erupt one squad, pop out, force a retreat, and so on there. So he needs to put an end to this fast here. So there's definitely a devious aggressive strategy you'll see some British players utilize in 1v1s, maybe a bit 2v2 as well. They're not too popular, thankfully, but definitely something to keep an eye out for, particularly as the Oberkommandos, as you do lack those early snares, like for example deal with the Universal faster, making this strategy much more easier to execute against the Oberkommandos, like most light vehicular strategies are. The Wehrmacht has access to Panzerfaust quite easily, hence why you just don't really see that, typically pulled as much that it can still happen. Earlier cannon for Jimmy to help deal with the Universal Carrier. Sturmpeene charging the infantry section here, Sturmpeene closing in here. Up close and ugly here with the section, easily forcing it back there for the glory of Das Vaterland. Sappers here for Paul E.D. to assist in repairing his Universal Carrier, which is certainly a bit dinged up there after a few encounters with German firepower. Raketenwerfer 43 at the front line there. Bring up the east side of the Volksgrenadier. Third foot squad there for Jimmy. So far there's a bit quiet, so we've got two assault sections plus sappers here for Paul on top of the section, and of course the Universal Carrier. I imagine him taking in the near future, and then an upgrade for that one. It could surprise us, of course, with, say, more assault sections, in theory even a mortar, though I don't think that's quite much right now for Paul that really screams to him, you need a mortar. So we'll have to see what he actually does. We do get another assault section here. That is a total of 3 sections equipped with the Sten submachine gun. What's being assaulted here by the Sten-wielding chaps there, pushing them a bit back here. In the centre, we've got the Universal now with sappers inside of it. You can see there, Paul sticking to his mechanized infantry tactics at the Universal Carrier. Paul's just firing back at it. Sappers popping out. Raketten moving up here within range, trying to get off a shot here. Shoots, impacts upon the Universal Carrier there. Metal screeching crew, though somehow surviving an encounter with an 88mm rocket head-on. Good lord, that was close, isn't it, Terrence? Yes! Good thing we were wearing these safety vests. We don't. Oh, no. Anyways, going for the section there up north here, ground points here. Jamie striking back hard here, Paul. Paul looking, I think, to find a gap here and then flank around here, Jamie, and sort of threaten some of his units with all these Sten guns. There goes Sturmpeene here for some find himself in this situation. And there's a good chance here, Paul may just get a wipe here with, again, all of these Sten guns. The Sten gun, as a fun fact, was, British engineering's attempt to solve the issue, which is the British Army did not have a submachine gun at the outset of the war, and they needed one that was pretty cheap to make. The Sten was the sort that did take a lot of work to, fix it up, because particular earlier models had a lot of issues, but it was, decided to be fairly cheap to make and easy to use. It also used the same ammunition as German Well, the Germans, in fact, could even use the same magazines as the, MP40, so... Bartling particles also ended up being, used for, partisans and whatnot. Well, it then ended up in the hands of the Germans, amongst other things. The Germans also liked it because, well, it was basically an MP40 they could more easily, in some cases, get their hands on compared to the MP40, and crucially, it had the magazine stick out on the side, which made it easy to fight from a prone position. German veterans kind of liked that, actually. And I think there were some cases of entire German Fallschirmjäger units being equipped with Sten guns they managed to get their hands on. So, little fun fact there. Assault segment on the eastern side here. Medics for Paul, got to take up there. Sturmpioneer to replace one scout ripped apart here by Paul as well there. We got 4 Volksgrenadiers, a lot of German infantry here. University backing off. East side here, got him the point here, digging in for the glory of the British Empire. Moving on to the car point here though, Jimmy looking to mess with Paul's economy. Very simple choice. And of course, they do get the Thompsons, which the British initially did try to get their hands on, but the Americans were not willing to sell them cheap. I imagine later on with Lend Lease, they got their hands on them by that point. Again, they're starting to get a lot of Sten guns. I'll wait pushing forwards here. Almost got another set of Thompsons ready here, which of course significantly boosts the assault section's firepower. Quite the boost, in fact. So I imagine the third section will also be upgraded with. It's just a very good, straightforward upgrade. It's also pretty fast. Like, you can get it almost like immediately, like once you take up, which with the British is not very difficult. Sturmpioneer them in court, and there's definitely a chance that Jimmy could end up losing another Sturmpioneer squad to the assault section pretty fast. Bit awkward here though, and particularly in this course I feel like I could have avoided this a bit. It looks like maybe they'll actually manage it somehow. Gonna be closer for Jimmy there. Basil's gonna be off. Yeah, Sturmpioneer survived, the Kevin survived too. Pretty close there for Jimmy. Very close, and there you go. We do get the White Phosphorus Grenade here, the number 77. I believe the Germans have White Phosphorus Grenades. So, I mean, they had the blend cover, which I suppose is kind of like that. In a sense. There's also the Italians, I believe, did actually have White Phosphorus Grenades. So, fun fact. Anyways, Tripton forcing healing. Assault section falling back, adding the pyrotechnic supplies there. Back a base here for Paul. Not much really happening here. No armored cars, no 6-pounder guns, no assault officer. No attempt to tech up higher here. Might be saving up, of course, for the M5 half track. Up north here, we got the assault section with the Volksgrenadiers and the Sturmpioneer. Quick retreat here once the corporal drops there like a sack of potatoes from a Newcastle bakery. I don't know why they have potatoes there, though. I suspect the baker might have been up to something rotten.
Damned enemies trying to take a point from us.
Pushing up the eastern side here. West side assassin with the western fuel point here. No Vickers either. Overall, just very aggressive posture here from Paul ED in most respects. Jimmy, of course, just trying to catch up. We got the battle grid quarters here, upgrade of the mechanized, and of course, getting the medics, the sanitator. Got the artillery section ring up there, if you will, a spotter section. Sappers push there back by the Volksgrenadier. No Sturmgewehrs yet here for Jimmy, and crucially, no commander at this point. I mean, it technically could be any of them, but for varying reasons, typically late game reasons, like could be a Tiger, could be Sturmtiger, Heat Shields, the Panzer Commander, could be the Sector Assault here, so hard to say there what exactly Jimmy's game plan is versus Paul here. East side investment against the Volksgrenadiers. Worth noting, he's actually not upgraded, which is quite rare, really. Most British players will, of course, immediately seek to upgrade it, so bit noteworthy there for Paul. He has not upgraded his universal carrier whatsoever. Maybe he's intending to use the transport troops still. That would be interesting if that was the case. There you go, Paul taking up. Meanwhile, the assaulting force, they're going to a Brandhandgranate or incendiary grenade. Quite rare because it turns out the Germans also just use Molotov cocktails. It's just not, of course, what most people would assume, but they did. In fact, I believe they converted liquor factories to, producing Molotovs. Or Brandflaschen, as they were called. Slightly fancier, though. With some slight stuff for setting off the Molotovs rather than just, lighting up a rack. But anyways, got to go wiped again, caught here by the assault section blob there. Quite dangerous, and of course highlights Jimmy dusting mind for their potential, how Paul can you just appear around units and that way try to get a wipe there. It's obviously quite effective. We do get Overwatch them, and we actually do get some Jaegers in response to the loss there. Imagine we're going to get some G43s here to bleed out those Tommies. Anyways, I imagine ours Jimmy's priority should be taken up after that. Universal falling back, still not upgrade. We got the Assault Officer now. He, of course, adds more firepower to Paul's men that way. Another set of submachine guns, but obviously also a bit of utility. So not a bad pick there. Could go for the half-track now. I mean, that could allow him to mechanize his infantry on a greater scale than Universal Carry. Like 2 sections rushing about there from a half-track can be quite good. I mean, admittedly, most assault infantry from a half-track, like, say, assault gunners from 251, works quite well in my experience. Sturm Pioneer with distinction here, and a sniper from Paul now. Interesting choice there. Feels a bit late for a sniper here, but that is ultimately Paul's decision to make, and not mine. But I'm surprised still at the lack of an upgrade. I guess it just figures it's going to die so fast at some point that he doesn't upgrade it. So, and then, of course, just to spite Paul, it keeps staying alive. There you go. Assault Officer, part of the blob. Of course, that's the heroic charge there. Plus, of course, smoke to further, make it harder for Jimmy to use machine guns against it, potentially. Plus, of course, just regular coordinated 25 pounder gun fire. So it definitely adds some utility there to the rest of his forces here. Jimmy there with the MG-34 team. Schwerer Panzer quarters also going up. Rushing ahead here for the British Empire. Jimmy definitely... he's got a bit of extra point leader with Paul, but that's about it, really. Paul just otherwise just flexing all of these assault sections now backed up with the Assault Officer quite aggressively. Now we also got a sniper here. Probably to help bleed out Jimmy. But I imagine maybe also there's another way to help deal with the machine guns. Since the way he is moving about this assault section, machine guns are certainly quite a threat. Interesting enough, Jimmy did cancel the MD-34 there instead going for another academy. Probably starting to figure, you know what, I'm probably going to hit by a far center or something, at which point if he does, I'm going to be in an even worse place. Eastern Point, we grab the sappers. Very good work there. Got the Jaegers added here versus Paul's men. We got the sniper that lining up a shot here. Immediately drops on the Jaegers. And Paul here really going hard in here. With a second sniper. Paul's not just cheesing, he's cheddaring. Anyways, assault section being about to be the officer going hard west here, so yeah, that's going to be a bit annoying there, I imagine, to deal with for Jimmy, because they also kind of make it hard for him to just dive in after the sniper in some respects, like he's going to need a light vehicle, and of course, 2 snipers can, with their critical shot, actually make that a bit difficult as well there. Brandon gun, I thought it was a concussive grenade, actually, that would have been a very nice toss into actually all these assault sections, but yeah, just full route here, boosting the assault section with the assault officer, just a torrent of lead here. And Jimmy's men are just being absolutely gunned down. Mines in east here from Paul. The Academy between the Universal Carrier still not upgraded. Schwerer Panzer quarters up. Authorized. Could soon push for a Panzer 4. We got 2 snipers moving about here for Paul. Has been caught out in the open here. Universal backing a bit off. No upgrade yet on that one still. And there you go. Double sniper hit here. Plus other shots on the Academy over there. Almost wiping it out there. Quite brutal stuff, and I think there's a good chance the Academy crew does get wiped out here, unless Jimmy gets a bit lucky. Does. Apparently his luck does hold out. And on the west side here, assault officers charging in there against the Fulton. The Sten guns versus K-19Ks and a few Sturmgewehrs. But in the end, the officer pulls through here for King and Country. Helmut's back did not. Sniper falling back here. Schwerer Panzer quarters soon right for Panzer 4 Model J. We got mines to the car. Sandbags there. And Paul here goes for anvil tactics. Good golly, that's an interesting, combination. A lot of assault troops backed up by snipers and apparently Churchill tanks. Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen that one coming, but go figure. Go figure, ladies and gentlemen. Panda 4 there, slowly ramming here to the front line. And for now, at least, Paul does, not have a lot there. I mean, he's got the snipers in theory, but, they're going to have a bit of a hard time stopping a Panda 4, even with the boys and a tank rifle. In theory, if it wasn't equipped with armored side skirts in the actual war, they could theoretically, shoot through the side armor at close range, enough ranges. But, you know, yeah. Anyways, Kenref dealing with stuff here. Hit a mine. Ludwig and Heinz, they're dead. More sniper kills here. Section has the Jaegers and the Volksgrund Sturmpionier. Quick grenade here, and of course the White Phosphorus grenade here. Pretty much forcing the Jaegers to retreat here. Snipers still at it. Panther 4 arriving here to the front line here for the 21st Panzer Division. Full rout though here. I think the effect of more White Phosphorus grenades has pretty much caused Jimmy to retreat. It could also have been a misclick, perhaps, like 40 only one unit selected. Somehow they selected all and just boom, retreat. I had something similar happen. Panther 4 moving forward here. The Panzer Commanding 4 shoots, adding the pintle-mounted MG-42. Going straight for the assault section here. Charging in for Deutschland. We got mines being laid down here. And again, I mean, Poland just doesn't really have like any serious anti-tank firepower. Can have got wiped out. That could become that. But also, the question, of course, is how much does Jimmy know about Poland's current state of anti-tank, assets? Because if Jimmy does have, of course, a reasonable idea, he could do a lot of damage to Paul. Because again, he doesn't have like any serious way of dealing with a Panther 4 at the moment. He does have some mines, but I don't think he's got like enough mines really to stop it there. Yeah, lots of mines here from Paul. He does seem to be, as of late, favouring like chaining up the mines. For example, here, resulting in the weapon like Kednerfer. Basically, I think the theory is basically, though, if the opponent isn't paying attention and just, sending out units to cap points, they will just, have the units walk through all of the mines. So, that's a bit of devious work. The snipers connect the Sturmpionier, and there you go. Quickly retreating. Panther 4 charging ahead and wrecking sandbags and barbed wire. Straight up the centre here for Deutschland. Heading westwards there with a reinforced platoon of infantry. Full route here towards the base there. So yeah, Churchill tank here for Paulie D. That's going to be a tougher nut to crack here for Jimmy's Panzer 4 and Raketenwerfer. And likely will force us hand towards either a Jagdpanzer or a Panther, as they do have a better chance of cracking that otherwise thick armoured hide of the Churchill tank. More Raketenwerfers, obviously Jimmy's expecting some kind of armour, but he's, again, probably not necessarily expecting the Churchill unless he actually paid attention to the sappers. And the fact, again, they do have that little anvil there on the side, which of course tells you they've been upgraded to heavy sappers, and of course that means anvil tactics. So, will be interesting to see here. Raketenwerfer trading in the east. Got the snipers on the move here with their boys anti-tank rifles. Massive throng of infantry in the center here from Paul ED. Panther rolling back here. There we go. Churchill tank out. Straight with the Panther 4. Good hit there. Kills one. Poor sod. We do see a matter of retreat. There's obviously just Paul has no way of protecting the infantry for now. I mean, he could pop smoke, but question is how much would that achieve for him. Of course, now we have the Churchill tank on the field, at which point things get more uncomfortable here for Jimmy. In particular, with the snipers backing up, it can be difficult to use the Kednerfer since the snipers just can like pummel that way. And there you go. Several hits from the snipers there, plus more crucially, the Churchill tank gets off hits. Anti-tank grenade here. And suddenly the situation for Jimmy is quickly plummeting right through the deep ice here of the British Empire. And suddenly his Panzer 4 is heavily damaged and with a damaged engine. And there's a Churchill tank coming his way. So things got a bit more uncomfortable there for Jim in the east side. We got a regular section moving about here. But Kevin was down to far away. The Churchill tank, though, failing to penetrate the very thick armour there of the Churchill tank. Got the raid sections and such moving on the centre here. There we go, assault offers there, inspiring some of the chaps to push forwards there. Bold here, very bold, and we can see just Jamie retreats, knowing this is going to be resultant wipes here. Even on the west side, we got the Jaegers hiding out here, we got the snipers moving up here. I imagine he's hiding out the Jaegers here again in the hopes of catching Paul here. Creeping about with the snipers, being a bit, careless. And there we go, goes for it. And there we go, one sniper sniped by the Jaegers. Good kill there for Jimmy. Better blow there to Paul. Panther 4 being fixed meanwhile by the Sturmpionier. And we'll again have to see what he goes for next. Will it be a Jagdpanzer? Will it be a Panther? Will Jimmy just put his faith in the Panther 4s? Paul meanwhile starting to bring up some 6-pounder anti-tank guns to help deal with all this German armour. Grab the eastern point here. And some mines here from Paul again. Big fan of those. Got the assault section, the officer moving forward to straight to the Panda 4. Fortress Stumpers near Barricade, and there go, takes a hell of a hit here from Churchill tank. Almost wiped out, and there go, charging in with the assault officer and the assault section. Boosted by the officer, ripping apart the Kenra crew there. Pioneers doing their best against the assault section, but again, boosted by the officer and his encouragement, his promises of slightly better tea. They are able to overcome the Sturmpion as well, and there you go, Kenra got destroyed. Jimmy here, seeing how, well, things are quite frankly crumbling before his eyes, goes for the Archpanzer. Maybe he'd been dreaming of a Panther, but the current situation, I think, is quite frankly not allowing him to, hold out for a Panther here versus Paul. I mean, he may still try and go for it, I suppose, eventually. But I think for in numerous ways, a Jagdpanzer probably is his better choice. Good range, good penetration, crucially also good rate of fire. He started therefore pushing for the eastern field point here. Section wiped out. Finally scoring a more significant wipe there on Paul, though of course getting the sniper is also significant. 6 pound up at the Panther 4 here. The Kim landing hit of the Churchill tank. Jagdpanzer is almost there. And the West Sappers, they're busy. 4 kills on the sniper. And interesting enough, he got a munitions cast, so he's clearly setting up here for the strafing support, which is quite powerful. Pushing into the sniper on the Fulkins on the eastern field point. Panda 4, he cancels it? Jagdpanzer for Panzer 4 more? Really? Can't say I saw that one coming, but Jimmy's decision to make. Full to the assault section, the assault officer himself is now closing on Tier 3 very, very slowly. I mean, he's managed to 22. Basil slowly creeping into my room. And then meowing.
Damned enemies trying to take a point from us.
You can be a very talkative cat, as some of you might have noticed. Pushing you should see. Sniper, oh, really out on a limb here. We can see that Jimmy's trying to get out the sniper. I don't think there's a good chance to use the Comet Blitz. There we go. Oh no, the driver gets a bit funny there. Oh, waste there. 6 pound moving eastwards. In the center, we got a bit of heavy fighting here. We got this Raketenwerfer wiped out. Gonna be grabbed here by Paul. That is definitely not good here for Jimmy. And the 21st Panzerdivision. Not good at all. So that was a great kill here for Paul and a great haul. Now he's suddenly has 200 tank guns versus an opponent with none. We'll have to see what he goes for next. I would not be surprised if Paul just goes for another Churchill tank. I mean, again, they can soak up a lot of damage, and he gets more of them, that's even more damage that can be soaked up. Panther in Westwood C, and the same got the section as the full Grenadier. A Kedmaf almost done there for Jimmy, though. Strain to Mani with the Panther 4, going for the Universal Carrier, still upgraded. Panther 4, they're flanking in as the other Panther 4, well, basically is a bit tired. Of course, this may inadvertently create a situation where Jimmy could actually explode here because Paul, of course, is going to try and destroy it here. So at the same time, if he goes in too hard, that means his flanks are going to expose. So this could essentially be a situation where, like, a Panther 4 becomes bait here for a trap. You can see the trap seems to be sort of springing here upon Paul's Churchill tank now, but fortunately for Paul, not a lot is happening here in the end, so this is pretty lucky for Paul that just Jimmy perhaps didn't see the possibility here, or if he did go for it, he just didn't quite execute it well enough. It's hard to say exactly. Dutchland's going to go for another attempt here, and for some reason Paul actually stuck around there for another round of damage, and there you go, he does suffer the damage engine now, so suddenly the Churchill tank is not too well off, but Jimmy just does not appear to have the resources and forces to, like, you know, follow up now again. And there you go again, assault officer boosting the assault section. A really consistent use of that ability. It's typically quite overlooked by most British players, even the ones who go for the assault officer, so nice to see someone making use of it. Very nice to see. Panther 4, they're good to go. Paul can soon go for another Churchill tank if he wants to. He could, of course, also go for Firefly or something else. We'll have to see what exactly Paul's plan is versus Jimmy. Taking a nasty hit at 6 pound shoots, misses the Panther 4. There you go, finally got the Universal Carrier.
The Universal Carrier has been knocked out.
Panther 4 trying to flank the Churchill tank. It appears, and there you go. Air support called in on the center, interestingly enough. By the way, it does force him to retreat there, since They deal a lot of damage against infantry. They deal a lot of damage. Under the right circumstances. Panther IV there, quick to haul back. He obviously not going to risk it with the British Royal Air Force, or RAF. Sandmax in the centre. Academy over there wiped out. Again, like, units on the street can actually get wiped out by those strafing runs there. That is part of the strafing support ability. Because that's just how powerful they are. It's basically like, you know, imagine the unnerved P-47 rocket strafe and the unnerved Soviet L2 there put together. That's roughly the strafing support. Now we got Jimmy there with zone sector assault. Also quite good. Just not quite as powerful as cheap. But there you go. Churchill taking hits here from the Luftwaffe. Panther IV being hauled out of there. Sniper there, close being wiped out. There you go. Goes down to the Jaeger. Quite a blow there to Paul. Got no snipers left. Panther moving in. They could, if you can get rid of the 6-pounder gun, that would be really good for Jimmy. And that means the Churchill now stuck here in the middle of the western fields here. It's going to be in some pretty deep sauce. And there you go. We do get another Churchill tank. Rather late to the party, kind of earlier. Now again, the other one is just kind of starting. They're trying to get out of there. So the Luftwaffe are using it for target practice. Panther IV setting out. Troops enforcing healing. Another academy for Jimmy. Panther IV diving in here. Another strafe here. And almost got the Churchill tank. Got the Churchill tank there, utterly wrecked. Quite a blow there to Paul. And again, I feel like this could have been avoided, but for some reason he just sort of parked it out of there. And again, underestimated what Jimmy could do to him. Meanwhile, Jimmy is bringing up more Panther IVs now, feeling certainly a lot more confident with one Churchill tank knocked out. Of course, there soon could be another one, which will also be supported by strafing support. That said, I do think Paul, comparatively to Jimmy, was definitely, I think, a bit too quick on the strafing support there. Not entirely sure, just calling against like 2 squads of infantry there. That definitely felt a bit much. Our way, though, second Churchill tank arriving here for Paul. 287, 247, pretty close so far between the two sides in terms of victory points. Fairly close. Also worth noting, we haven't seen any of his losses being replaced. I mean, he's lost both the assault officer and assault section, yet Paul is so far not making much effort to replace those. Instead, he's bringing up one to tank guns, which, I mean, considering how many tanks Jimmy's starting to bring in, does make a lot of sense. But you certainly can't neglect the infantry either, I feel like. There you go, straight push up the centre here. We can see there's some forces being pushed off the field here. Churchill tank risking in Panzer's shot failed to penetrate here. In the west side, foot being caught here by the assault section and the sappers here. Now the 6-pounder gun. This also means he's got like 3 anti-tank weapons. That's a lot of anti-tank fire that could do a lot of damage here to Jimmy's Panzer IVs very rapidly. And we're going straight forward, shoot, and both of them miss. Churchill tank meanwhile gets a good shot on the Panther IV Model J. Second academy for Jimmy almost done, well, technically fourth. Meanwhile, got the 6-pounder guns moving up here, and the academy effort hanging back as well here. Do feel like Paul could put a bit more into the right-hand side, so Jimmy could also think try and affect more attacks through here instead of like straight head on into Paul's lines. We also now, of course, have the strafing support ability ready. One option that Jimmy theoretically could consider help negate it a bit would be going for the flak arrow attack, which has a fairly decent performance. That one, not this one, but this one has a decent performance against aircraft, so it could be something to consider if you like, you know, the strafing support can be an issue for him. He could consider. He probably won't, though. Most players never bother for that, but can use it. Getting caught up with the Panther IV Model J. Yeah, you can see there's the Churchill tank. Got the assault tank charging in here. Panther IVs, there's the 6-pounder guns, and none of them hit, or penetrate at least. Pretty lucky there for Jimmy's Panzerkampfwagen assault section. They're holding the line, but the line with them on is definitely breaking. More troops beginning to take over, but can they hold out for much longer? As for Jimmy, he's sort of, I think, trying to figure a good spot to attack with his Panzers here against Paul. who is so far falling a bit short in that particular attack angle. And Paul's clearly trying to catch the panzers with his anti-tank guns. Jamie is clearly being a bit elusive on that particular front, and thus not easily caught. Sturm is the section, 6 panel guns, Churchill taking the centre. I found the Churchill tank. And there you go, Panther trying to push straight to the 6 panel guns. One shot goes through, another shot goes through here. Panther down to half health. But Paul does lack a bit the offensive firepower to really like follow up and explode on this right now. At least to do so easily with all these anti-tank weapons. And he's clearly not feeling confident doing it with just one Churchill tank here, so this could kind of work out for Jimmy here. As long as he doesn't overcommit with his Panther 4s. There we go. Few shots there, some penetrate, most bounds. Pull to the push back here. More fun the Churchill tank. Veterans 1 gained. Got the full to push back here. At this point, the question is, will Paul go for more Churchill tanks? Will he go for something else to support the Churchill tank versus the Panther 4s? We got the academy basically manned by officers. That's definitely a bit over the top there. Grenade off. But it's certainly a quirk here of the company, still in the way that things accrued. Got the assault section putting up to the eastern victory point again. Of course, the strafing support ready. In fact, he's roughly 2 minutes away from another strafing support too. So that could get a bit uncomfortable for the Jimmy, depending on how well, of course, Paul makes use of these strafing supports. Like, if you put Jimmy in the defensive, say box someone close to his base and then call in, that could be very devastating for Jimmy. That could be very devastating. Got the Churchill up here, backed up by some sappers here. Jaeger's trying to stay clear, but not quite succeeding. These hot Panther 4 here, keeping some of the British off German property there. Jaeger's routed. But certainly some sort of weaving about it between both sides. But no major engagement, of course, that can quickly change in the blink of an eye. Got the full moving up, going for the now trench section. Panther 4 holding up in reserve. We got the other Panther 4 here and another Panther 4 there. So, okay, nice on the attack. We see there. Paul goes for another strength support here. Trying to turn the table on Jimmy with this now. Certainly can see more reason for that. And there go another strength support here. Another bit of heavy damage. Rakennev is suffering some heavier losses. Got a bit lucky there, I think, in this case.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points.
Panther 4 holding back here. Other Panther 4 holding back. And there you go. Schwerer Panther quarters, though, get some of those British aircraft. Meanwhile, now you can see that Paul getting much more bolder here, going the offense with the 6 panel on the Rakennev and the Churchill tank. And we get a second one on the way here. Panther 4 suffering quite a bit of catastrophic damage here from the British anti-tank weapons. Panther 4 in trouble. In fact, we could also see the Schwerer Panther quarters now being in the danger zone here. If Paul were to commit, he could do a lot of damage. They got a Rakennev here, which does seemingly push back, but the anti-tank guns can still go at it versus the Schwerer Panther quarters. No, he does not commit to it. Instead, backs off here. Clearly concerned something bad could happen. We do sort of see that happening here as Jimmy launches a flank with the Jaegers and the Panther 4, but it's just one Panther 4, so I don't know. Could be manageable. East side here, we got the folks moving about here. Northwestern point. Assault sappers around it. Pull to around this section in the east. There we go. Second Churchill tank ready here for Paul. It's quite a few Churchill tanks here. But there you go. First one is the issue with the Rakennev. The assault section, meanwhile, caused the Rakennev to have to retreat here, as they are absolutely not equipped for dealing with the assault sections. Seeing on ace level with the Thompsons. Rakennev taking an RC at Panther 4 being moved in to try and halt the Churchill tank's advance. Can Jimmy succeed in that? Looks like he sort of does, or he's perhaps going to launch a flank attempt here instead. Engaging it head on, which would honestly be the smarter move, though. Particularly because Paul is keeping anti-tank guns sort of ready to cover the Churchill tanks being attacked head on. But not so much in the flank here, so. Yeah, Paul is definitely struggling a bit here. I think he needs something with a bit more firepower to back up the Churchill tanks and similar mobility. Again, Fireflies could be a good option here, or maybe some M10s, but I do think he needs a bit more there. Victory points-wise, so it is fairly close still between the two sides. Churchill tank, where's the fault gun? It is there. And he's almost got another strengthening support ready here.
We're losing a capture point.
Heading into mines to the west. Launching a lone Churchill tank all the way to the east with little, but there is some support. Another unit there close being wiped out, and we do get Veteran 2 on the Churchill tank now. Definitely improvement there for Paul. Panther with the Churchill tank. Ultimate on the flank here, the Panther first. Lots of coming from the Churchill tank. Just rolling up here. Charging in for the British Empire. Jimmy's forces are overwhelmed. The east side got the Panther fun against the British forces as well. Churchill with the damaged engine. I mean, that's certainly, I think, a possibility presenting itself here for Jimmy. With, like, you know, you could try and rush in, hit clear at the entertain, then go for the Churchill tank with his Panther force here. You could also hit the other unit, but I think with the trench here, there's a bit more resistance here. Whereas, again, on the east side, I think there's a good chance for, like, just a hard Panther push to, you know, start defeating Paul's forces in detail, because he's, like, split them up pretty thinly in the east, so I do think there's a great opportunity, but fortunately for Paul, Jimmy does not seem to quite be thinking that way. In fact, we got a truck on the way there for the mechanized regiment. Theoretically, could be setting up for King Tiger. The problem is, of course, he doesn't quite have the population for it, but, like, you know, he could still be setting up for the long term. But I imagine short term, it's probably just to, you know, get repair pioneers going as well here. One Panther fighting eastwards. Again, I think you should just commit all three Panther forces here. And we do get a tank destroyer now here for Paul. The M10. Achilles, if it's known. No, by the way, this is also applied to the version with the 17-pounder gun, as a fun fact. Wing 40 backed up to Panther 4. There we go. 6 Bonner crew there expunged. But the Falcon themselves are now very much at risk themselves, just getting absolutely buried there by the railroad tracks. M10 almost down there. M10 right around the corner. There we go. Ready for Paul. Stumpy was that of the Churchill tank there. Can force to retreat. Got the M10 pushing forward. See. Also got the saving support ready here for Paul again. M10 versus Panther 4. Looks like the Panther 4's leading quite well here as the M10. The M10 is just not landing into his hits, and the Panther 4's just landing all of its hits. Definitely looks great there for Paul. And there you go. Got air support called in. He's calling it air support of his own. Things are about to get very lively, it would appear. Luftwaffe strike from one angle. RAF from another. Here the camping caught here by the Hawker Typhoons. Kanonenvögeln. And other such things coming away there. We got a unit wiped here. The Chem is also in danger of being wiped out here. Rather chaotic stuff here. Assault section suppressed. Church tank being fixed up. Obersoldaten here for Jimmy. Hard strafe there. Yeah, and then up well, being more flash than substance, I think, of those two air call-ins. Jimmy Stones will play some of his losses with Obersoldaten is an improvement for him, less great for Paul. But it loses Churchill tank in comparison. It still hasn't destroyed any of Jimmy's Panzer IVs. I mean, he's lost 2 Churchill tanks. In comparison to, like, Jimmy again, who's lost not a single Panzer IV. So I do think there's a need of changing tech there. Go another wipe at least. Very good for Paul there. Again, he needs more work elsewhere done. We got the Obersoldaten at the ready here, though, for Jimmy and Germany. Got 233, 237. M10 at the ready. Might go for 110 to honest at this point. Would make a lot of sense.
Infantry tank, ready to go.
Supplement again there in the west. Now the 6-pounder gun there for Paul. Sorry about that. Bit of maneuvering here close to the centre. Panther force moving forwards right to the line of 5 6-pounder gun here close to the base here, pushing back the Panzerkampfwagen, following forwards here, 21st Panzerdivision, 8th Panzergrenadier Company on the advance here against Paul and the British Empire. There you go, M10 creeping forwards a bit here on the west side here. German Jaegers hit the mines. The casualties are quite horrendous, but not enough to wipe them. Panther forces are slowly advancing here on Paul's positions. At the same time, Jimmy's clearly not feeling a big rush here as Paul has got the big 2-point lead, and he's steadily bleeding up Paul here. Entertains up the east side here.
Our capture point. They're trying to take it.
Not lost on victory point. Good shot there from the captain of the Churchill tanks. Moving up the anti-tank and towards the east side of the map. I wonder if Paul is planning to suddenly shift from west towards east. I mean, there's a lot of unoccupied real estate there, so I mean, that could tactically be a very smart move here for Paul. Going for another M10, rather than just attacking into like all the German guns are pointing. Moving up with the German guns unpointing is, I think, much more wise. And there you go. In this case, also I'm surprised the Panther almost got it wiped here, in fact, or destroyed. Almost one more hit, one more hit. Can he take out the Panther 4? Bet you flee here. Does he get it? No! That was really unlucky there for Paul. Great luck there for Jimmy. Still, having better success, advancing with the opponent isn't quite heavily dug in. So, thumbs up there to Paul. Almost had the Panther 4 true. If it had actually been able to destroy it, that would have been much, much better there for him. In some regards, of course, Jimmy would have likely just been able to replace it with the King Tiger shortly after. So, there are obviously limits to how successful that would have been. But no, Paul seems like he's just back at pushing up the west side. They could also try and occupy the eastern victory point at the same time. But seems so far to feel like he's extended enough eastwards there. Second M10 ready here, so that's 2 tank destroyers, or self-propelled anti-tank guns, as they're apparently known in the British Army. British doctrine, from understanding, tend to operate with tank destroyers, instead calling them self-propelled anti-tank guns, to further explain. Coming up in the Panther 4, misses though. Air support again, another strength support at least against Jimmy. Getting a bit more aggressive now, a bit more offensive. There we go. Heavy damage inflict from the chemicals, almost got wiped out in there. Go Panther 4 taking a lot of damage here. M10's going forward here. One shot bounces. Panther 4 blitzing out of there. More shots fired. He almost got it. There we go. Panther 4 kaput. Good kill then, Jimmy. Very good kill. Anti-tank cleared out here by Jimmy's forces. This infantry striking hard at the Inselhafen. 6-pounder could also be the next victim here of Jimmy's infantry, but no. Meanwhile, more support. There we go. Wipes the Jaegers. He stood no chance getting to safety there. Utterly annihilated and dead in a ditch. Panther 4's getting ready. That said, Jimmy's now very, very close to the King Tiger here. The Tiger 2 is close to the front line there. Aircraft being shot at the skies here by the 30mm flak there, mounted on the Schwerer Panzer quarters. Fulton's being absolutely mauled here. The Chem's pummeling away at the Churchill tank. And there we go. He can go for the King Tiger now, I believe. Yes. No. Wait. Why would he reinforce now when he could go for the King Tiger? That's an odd one. Okay. But he can go. But he does it again. Okay. And he's both focused on that. I don't know. And his Panther 4's diving in against the M10. Flanking it hard here. Pretty aggressive. But yeah, now he can go for the Königstiger. And he does call in here.
Damned enemies trying to take a point from us.
That's obviously where things are going to get a bit more challenging here for Paul. He's learned victory points, and now he's about to get, a King Tiger chucked right at him. It's a bit of a challenge here for Paul. He's learned victory points. He does have a fair amount of other forces, but they're a bit dinged up in several cases. So it might be tough. There we go. King Tiger advancing here. No Pinlock machine gun added to that one. All of a sudden they're taking to the troops there. Anti-tank is cleared out here. That's different from there. Go the assault section. Just ripped apart by the Königstiger. And it's 88mm gun there. Panther looking for a few more kills here. Remaining anti-tank being called to the front line. Here we also got like Kevin over them being pulled forwards as well. German like Kevin's hanging back here. Panther on the side. They could be sent in as well here. And there you go. Another anti-tank gun there. Ripped apart, leaving just with like Kettenwerfer. Another M10 for Paul here. Desperately looking for more tank destroyers, but he's bleeding out victory points pretty fast. $36. $33. Paul's odds are looking what we call pretty bad. 27. 24. Sending in the damaged Churchill tank here versus Jimmy. 21. 18. Charging in there, flanking speed on the M10s. Going forwards for the British Empire. 9 points left. And the 4 kaput. Churchill tank knockout. 6 points left. Going for the western point. He sabotages us the Panther 4. Actually, 4 is not a great set. And there you go. GG. Game over. Loss for Paul. He was close at times. But I think, you know, he should have gone slightly different with the Churchill tanks. There was also, I think, some tactical mishaps with them. But he definitely needs to go for something besides the Churchill tanks a bit faster, I think. And tactically, I think at times also Crucial was just too passive, which also very much played in. It's also just very odd, very aggressive, and then suddenly he went from very passive. And the problem is, like, you know, using his assault sections passively like that, it's just not really, like, you know, the sort of engagements they work with. So I feel like there's a disconnect there between, like, you know, his strategy and his force composition, and he just got further muddled there as the game went on. So there you go, though. Hope you enjoyed this match. I learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Tell your friends, tell your family, but don't tell enemies. And consider donating to the Propagandacast via the link in the video description. You can also pre-order comments free with the link in the comments. Use the code STUK3G. Great way to support me and get the game. So cheers, everyone, and see you all tomorrow for our next episode. Bye.